Hi, and welcome to the 2024 Hacktoberfest process videos, whatever you want to call them, with the Jenkins Project. My name is Darren Pope. I am a developer advocate with CloudBees, and along with me, I have Mark Waite. Mark, how are you doing?
Great, Darren. How are you?
It has been 3 years since we did our initial pass of modernizing Jenkins plugins.
It has. Can you believe it? And things have changed. Things have gotten better.
Think
And I'm proud that things got better, but there's even more better to do.
more better?
More better. I know you love my grammar.
Well, considering how I started out this video, more better is better than what I did. So I'm fine with that. So if you've never looked at the videos we did before, let me go ahead and pull them up here real quick. We're going to watch all the videos live. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. There is, under the documentation on the Jenkins.io site, if you go to, I'm going to go to the hamburger here. So if you were to go to documentation developer guide,
Right.
so this is if you're going to be maintaining Jenkins plugins.
Right. Or contributing to
Or
a Jenkins
contributing.
plugin, trying to
Yep.
help somebody else maintain a Jenkins plugin.
Exactly. There's an improve a plugin tutorial. That's what we're going to be doing. So you may have noticed the title for this is part 6. And it's like, wait, this is the first one. Well, it's part 6 because we did 5 back in 2021, and now we're just going to continue on with a 6 today and a 7 on Wednesday. So there was the basics. These were the basics 3 years ago, and they're still the basics today. Adding a Jenkins file. Okay. There was a time before in Jenkins when there was no Jenkins file.
Okay, there are still plugins, Jenkins plugins that don't yet have a Jenkins file. So this oddly enough, that very first one is still applicable. Now, most of the times, though, when it doesn't have a Jenkins file, because it also doesn't have a maintainer. And so that's a very different story. But the reality is the answer still applies. We need to do that if it doesn't have it.
And then there were the other 10, 11 things here.
Right.
Again, this was 5 videos. They have chapters in them if you want to just go through and take a look at just those sections. I don't remember if this drops into each of the video sections, Mark. I don't.
It does,
Okay.
and we made sure that every section has text. So for people who are not big watchers of videos, they can just read the text and follow the text too. So you've got both. You've got detailed instructions, and if you don't mind watching us go through it, you can watch us do the steps as well.
And we'll be doing the same thing with what we're going to be doing for this year's Hacktoberfest.
Right.
Now, for this Hacktoberfest, we've got 2 videos this week, again, today and then Wednesday. And then for the next 2 weeks at the same time, Monday and Wednesdays, at the exact same time, whatever time it is, wherever you are right now. And then on the very last week of October, we're only going to do one that week because we also have a release on that Wednesday, and we'll be doing a What's New on that Thursday. So we're going to be doing a total of 7 videos, if I'm doing the math right, over the next few weeks. So let's get started into it, I think. So we're going to be adding in something that didn't exist 3 years ago.
Right.
Now, fortunately, a lot of plugins have already had it, but what is that thing, Mark?
Yeah. So when we taught people how to use the plugin bill of materials, we encoded some extra information inside that is a duplicate of information that's already in the POM file elsewhere. And what we saw was that some maintainers were mistakenly updating one location and not updating the other. So today's exercise, we're going to use the latest techniques that are used by the Jenkins plugin archetype to stop duplicating that information so that people won't make the mistake of putting conflicting information in 2 different places in the plugin POM file.
And the plugin that we're going to be using is configuration slicing. Now, that's unlike the other plugins that we did 3 years ago. Mark is you're not a maintainer, but
No,
you have,
actually, I am.
or you
I
are a
have
maintainer.
maintainer
Okay.
rights. Yeah,
Oh, you have maintainer rights. Okay.
Right.
So we have this, I have it locally on my machine. Now, unlike 3 years ago, I have a much better machine. So I'm actually running it locally instead of using a remote development environment, which is still very cool as well. But I'm just going to run it locally here. So what is the thing that's missing? Let me just scroll down and see if you see a problem here.
Yeah. So, okay. So, right, the duplication is already on screen. and that's really kind of nice. Line 31, Jenkins.version has a 2.440 in it, right?
Right.
Line 37 has 2.440 in it as well. And in fact, the problem we were seeing the mistake people were making was sometimes they would update the one up on top and not update the one below. Now, they're not the exact same string, but they represent the same piece of information. They are somehow what's the line of Jenkins that we're going to be working on. And that concept of what is the line you're working on is what we're going to do in today's example.
Okay. So there is already a plugin that this has been done for. This is the schedule build plugin. And let me zoom in here a little bit. So what we're going to be adding is a Jenkins baseline. There's
Correct.
nothing magical about that name, right? Other
Nothing
than
magical. Well, okay, I'll take it back. There is something magical about it. That's exactly the name used by the plugin archetype. So that's the only magical thing about it, is the fact that the plugin archetype uses this, and it's much easier on other maintainers if we use consistent things across plugins, and the archetype is a really great reference for, oh, this is a good pattern to use, let's use this.
okay. And we can see how it's being used right here. We can see it's using a .3, but then also down here we see our .x.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to be lazy for a moment. And I'm just going to copy Jenkins baseline from here.
Perfect.
I'm going to go back over to my properties. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen because you don't need to see our faces right now because our faces are about that big anyway. So let's watch the editor here. If it fires, come on, there we go. Okay. So I need to put this technically, I don't need to technically put it above, but
Right.
it's easier,
Right.
right? Because Maven will still resolve it when it's all
Right.
said and done.
Property's a property. But the other thing is, if maybe one of these sessions will show people how to turn on automated formatting, and when you do that, then it will put it above it because it sorts them lexically.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and always, sure, yeah, go ahead. Go away. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here, except I need to brace it. Whoops,
Right.
brace it. Now, here's my question.
Uh-huh.
We're recording this. Today is Monday, October 7th, 2024. Should I be picking 440 as my baseline?
Good question. Let's answer the question by opening a web page. So let's go decide that. For me, I would say no, but I would say no because I know about things that have happened since then. So open up Jenkins.io.
Okay.
In the search box at the top right-hand corner.
Let me just get a new one here.
Yeah, new one. And in the search box at the top, type the word choosing. And top hit is choosing a Jenkins version to build against. Click that.
Okay.
And let's see what version is currently recommended. So as we scroll down, here it suggests either 2.440 or 2.452.4. So while we're here, maybe it's better to propose 2.452.4.
Okay.
Because the reason I suggest the newer of the two, either would usually be fine, but we've had significant vulnerability reports that are of interest in that time frame, and so choosing the newer for me is a better choice.
Okay. So the question is, though, you're saying .4, but do I really need to take the .4, or do I just need the 452?
Well, so let's go into the file and let's take a look at that. This is a fun one. So back to your editor.
Right.
So if we said we want to do Jenkins version as 2.452, so baseline would be 2.452.
I'll just say that. Right.
Right. The next one down, we do need to declare the .4 because the .4 was the security release.
Correct.
And now we want to also look at, while we're here, there's one more thing to look at, which is in line 39, the version number of the bomb that we're running.
Right.
And for that, the easy way to look at it is open up github.com and Jenkins CI/bomb, and let's see what the current release of the bomb is. Now, Dependabot will do all this for us. So we're just accelerating Dependabot's work. So the release, there it is. That number is the one we want to replace. So click it, and now you can copy and paste it.
It's fine. It's easy.
Right.
Okay. So why did I pick that one?
Yeah, and so for me at least, I like the most recent release of the plugin bill of materials. You could have stayed with 3413 because there is a version of 2.452 with that. I like the most recent because the most recent means it gets me closer to what end users are running, because generally end users update their plugins and want to run most recent versions. So that by choosing most recent version of the BOM, you're choosing most recent versions of all the plugins that are maintained by the BOM.
So if I'm a plugin maintainer, how often do I need to update that version, that BOM version?
Well, so I like now. This is a place where there's a level of disagreement that can have a price. As a plugin maintainer, I update that frequently, like every week or two. There are other plugin maintainers that update monthly or maybe even every 3 or 4 or 5 months. And either of those can have strengths and weaknesses. All you're doing when you choose a plugin BOM version is saying, which set of dependency versions will I keep as a convenient group for my test purposes? So
Okay.
I update frequently. Others maybe monthly.
Okay. But you're saying doing it once every 2 years isn't a good idea.
Well, okay, doing it, and again, I guess it depends. So if you're maintaining an API plugin, once a year is probably more than enough, right? If you're maintaining a low change rate plugin, when you update to a new Java version, you'll probably update Jenkins BOM. But other than that, you may be fine without updating it any further.
Okay. So let's recap. So we've added in the Jenkins baseline. We picked 452 because, going back to our docs, it said pick 440 or 452. Mark prefers the more recent. And in fact, I just look at the bottom here.
Right.
Whatever this one is, I just pick this one.
And that's an excellent technique, right? Because that thing is going to recommend 452 is not the most recent LTS, right? You're still leaving your users plenty of room because 462 is the current LTS, and in less than 4 weeks, we're going to release a new LTS baseline. So 452 is quite conservative still.
Right. And then from this point, we went ahead and put in our Jenkins baseline here.
Right.
Put the dot for, make sure 252. Don't delete the dot.
Well, and the nice thing is, if you do, you will know very quickly because it will fail to compile.
So the standard seems to be just putting 2 dot number or x dot y
Right.
and not x dot y dot. Is there a reason why we don't do the dots? Because it looks like we could.
Yeah, okay. For me, at least, I'm used to thinking of the baseline as the weekly release.
Okay.
And so for me, that mentally putting that trailing dot would conceptually
Break that.
reduce
Okay.
well, it would reduce duplication, but it breaks my maintainer's mind that baseline is a weekly release. And yes, it was used as the LTS baseline, but my mental model is that's a weekly.
Okay. And that's it. That's all the changes we made.
That's it.
Right.
Now
That's all we need to do.
compile it. Yep.
Now we just need to compile it. Well, let's see what happens here. So I guess I'm going to do, what am I going to do? Maven clean verify?
I would. I'd
Okay.
let the tests run because I'm not sure that we ever want to submit a pull request that we haven't given the tests a chance to run.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
I know. It's and there's a cost to that, right? Because these tests are not going to be free. It's not going to instantly complete the tests. It will take some time, and this particular plugin has some really significant tests, so we may be here a while. So we may get tired of it and submit the pull request before the tests finish.
We'll see. We actually have a question. You want to try to do a question live
Sure, why not?
while we're waiting on
I
this
mean,
to compile?
I can always say I don't know, right? We can say
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have multiple Jenkins agents, and when we use the Jenkins pipelines tags, use the checkout stage, how can we specify the node on which it tests the validation? Multiple agents.
So the agent, if you're using declarative, isn't the answer there, Darren, that you use the agent?
I would use none at the
Yeah,
top as the
agent-
global, and then I
Right,
would
agent
per
none
stage.
at the top, and then per stage you can declare I'd like agent this, and
X,
then
yeah.
inside that agent clause you can say I'd like a label of this.
Yeah,
or you
that's
can
what I
say
would do.
I'd like one of this, there are multiple answers to the which type of agent to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, especially if it's parallel, I mean, as soon as you start wanting to, I think if I'm grokking the question here, it would be agent none at the global level and then agent per stage in parallel. That's what I do if we're doing some sort of test based on how I'm reading the end of the sentence. So,
Well, and that's certainly, for instance, that's the way that build plugin does on ci.jenkins.io. It says I need to do Windows and I need to do Linux. And so it declares separate agents for each of those and specifies the label it needs to use.
okay, so hopefully that
That
helped.
was good. All right.
So this is done. Is it really done?
It is. Test finished.
Okay, but is Spotless Apply run during this?
It depends. It depends if Spotless is enabled. So in the
Oh,
you
let's check.
don't want to do Spotless Apply unless it's enabled. So if you look in the POM file, search for the word Spotless. And Spotless is a maintainer choice.
And it is not there.
Okay, so then we definitely should not run
Don't run
Spotless
it.
Apply.
Okay, that would
I
be
love
bad.
Spotless, but if the maintainer has not chosen to enable it, then
Don't do it.
submitting a pull request to enable Spotless is usually a really hard thing to persuade the maintainer that they want, right? That's a maintainer choice, not really a contributor choice.
Okay, good. Then that's all we need
commit
to
it.
do. All right,
Yep.
let's go ahead and commit it. Make sure
Okay,
I grab.
now I've got an opinion on this particular commit message, and I want to
Okay.
pontificate for just a little bit.
We'll go for
I
it.
think the commit message should be require Jenkins 2.452.4 or newer. Now that's targeting the end user who reads the change log, not describing all the details of the change. But the commit message for me, the first thing it needs to say is, for users, we're requiring a new Jenkins version. And then inside the body of the commit message, we should describe all the things we did. Hey, use Jenkins.baseline, update the plugin bill of materials. But for the user, it's that we are going to require that they run a newer version of Jenkins as a minimum Jenkins version.
Okay. So while you were talking, pontificating, as you said, use Jenkins baseline. What else did we do here?
Right, so update the
We-
Jenkins plugin BOM.
And is that it?
That's it.
I think that's okay. So let's go ahead and commit that. And let me put it in a branch. Rats.
Well,
I've done
it's-
that before.
we
Okay.
we can create a branch very easily, right? Now.
Yeah, I just have to. Yeah, but I just committed to master locally.
Yeah, so you'll have to do a reset hard, or you'll have to throw it away off your master branch.
What's the magic on reset hard? I can't. I never remember that. I remember seeing it in my head. It's like
Yeah,
tilde magic.
Well, before you do it, let's get the new branch. So git checkout -b.
And we'll call this baseline.
There you go. Baseline is a good choice.
Yeah, that's good. For as long as it's going to live, it'll be fine. Okay. So now,
Okay, now git checkout master,
okay,
and it should tell you now that you're ahead of remote of origin master.
Correct.
So you do a git reset -hard
it's upper or lowercase hard.
lowercase.
Okay. Is that it?
Now it's origin/master.
Oh, right.
So what this is saying is make my local copy look exactly like the
Right.
remote copy.
Right.
So now if you go back and check out again from baseline,
Oh, right.
because now we need to submit the pull request.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. So now, in theory,
Yeah, now we
if
can
I
just
take a
do
look at this, now I see my 452, my baseline, everything
there
is still
it is,
there,
right.
and I can see the.
And
Step
the
there.
graph on the left shows correctly. Very good. So baseline is stacked very nicely on top of
Yep.
the other one. Yes, very good.
Okay. So now you're ready to do a pull request. So we'll do a pull request. Let me slide this over here. Baseline to Jenkins master.
Yeah, now does this give us the template? It does. Okay, so is there a way you can make that template bigger? Because for me, it's really important that that template, we fill it out completely.
Actually, let's do this. Let's do a, well,
We can do it right from here. This is
We do it
great.
from here.
Most
Is that-
people would do
okay.
it from their IDE, so why not? Let's do
Okay.
it from the IDE.
okay. So we've already described it because we caught that in our commit, right? You're okay with that?
But now we need to answer the testing done, and this is
Okay. Of course we
this is
didn't do
one
that.
where what we did is we ran Maven clean verify to
Oh, I guess we did.
confirm.
Okay. Here, let me, okay. So I'll do this.
Now the testing done section says, hey, we need to know that a computer executed the changed lines, and we
Yep.
do because we ran Maven clean verify. And confirmed that all tests pass. Now the intent for this request is that on larger change, it usually means you also need to have done interactive testing and report what the interactive testing is. This one is a small enough change that it really doesn't justify interactive testing.
Right. Okay.
And then for my sake, delete the comment that says we processed it, and then we look at the checklist, and the checklist, the little square brackets need an X between each of them. Okay,
Yeah.
we are on a topic branch. Yes, we did that. Title represents the desired changelog entry. Yes, we did that. So we get an X there, and I think you want a lowercase x, at least. Does uppercase X work for you?
I think so.
Okay, so leave at least one of them uppercase, and we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Because I had problems not long ago with one form or the other, I think. Okay, so describe what we did. We talked about that. No relevant GitHub issues, so I put an X there to tell myself, yes, we thought about it, and there's nothing to do. And relevant pull requests, again, we thought about it, nothing to do, and yes, the automated tests cover it, so we don't need to do any additional tests. And now we can delete that final comment block, and we're ready to create the pull request.
Create or create as draft.
For me, I like to create because I think it's ready to review.
Okay.
I mean, we certainly could do create as draft.
Let me get it published first. All right. Now, what we'll see is,
Nice. Okay, good.
there's all of that.
All right, so the check is running, and now as a maintainer, I get to go look at it. And
Okay.
sorry, people won't see my screen while I do this, but I can go look at the thing and see that it really is there, and I can approve it. So give me just a second, Darren.
Okay.
All right, require 2.452.4 or newer. And I see the changes, and the changes, okay, 2.452, baseline.4. Yes, that looks good to me. Jenkins baseline. Perfect. And I think, yes, and this particular repository already has auto merge enabled. So I'm going to enable, I've approved it, and I'm going to enable auto merge so that sometime later in this broadcast, we may be able to come back and see that it's merged.
Okay. You just
Now, I need
approved
to
them.
assign a label to it, and this I would call a chore because it's maintenance. Because we
Yeah.
we don't actually want to force a new release of the plugin for this. It's not that big of a change.
Right. Okay.
All right, so if you refresh your page, we should see the label I just applied.
Yep.
There, good, all right.
Okay. Everything good so far?
Looks great, thank you.
All right. So we're done with baseline?
We are.
Okay. Well, that's good. That was easy.
Uh-huh.
Our other one that we're going to do was for find sec bugs, I believe.
Right, yeah,
Do we have docs on that?
we do. So
Okay.
on jenkins.io, search for find sec bugs.
Okay.
And there it is, Find Sec Bugs for Developers. This is a 2020 blog post from Jeff Thompson.
Okay.
And what Jeff did is he provided one really good background on why you might care about doing static analysis with a security analysis tool like Find Sec Bugs. And then he gives several example pull requests where he illustrates what's happening there and shows real examples. So go a little bit further down and let's talk about one of these that's on his list. credentials, the first one he lists, he says, no, this one is particularly interesting because here find SecBugs detects the remains of a valid vulnerability. What that says is the vulnerability's been fixed. That's good. But had we run find SecBugs earlier, we would have found the problem without waiting for a vulnerability to be disclosed to to us by someone. So find SecBugs, its goal is help maintainers identify potential security risks.
Okay. So how do we do this?
Yeah,
okay.
let's go looking. So we can, the easy way for me is we can pick up, actually, let's go back to his example, grab one of his pull requests and look at and see what he did. So scroll upwards to find the credential. Let's see, let's look at platform labeler. That's one that had trivial in it.
Oops. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, so if you click that link, okay, so here, this is showing us, all right, since we're already using SpotBugs, this is going to show us how to do the next step. And the next step is this block that we're coming up on now where it inserts the SpotBugs Maven plugin and puts additional configuration on it.
Okay. And then that just happened to be...
And this next thing
stuff.
is one where what Jeff did is he inserted a noise generator just to be sure that it would show a real problem.
Right. Okay. Now, will we need to do this?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Right. And it turns out if we find that we need to, there's a good pattern we use for how do we deal with SpotBug suppressions. Okay.
Good. All right. So first off, I guess we need to look and see if we have SpotBugs at all. Right?
Right. And
I'll get a new branch in just a minute. So.
And we do because all Jenkins plugins by default have SpotBugs.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do I know that?
So you'd have to look at the parent POM, or you'd have to show the effective POM. But all Jenkins plugins have SpotBugs. Then the question is, how deep is it doing it, etc.
Okay. So I guess we'll just go back over here, actually, before I do anything else. Let me go ahead and get a new branch going. So I'm going to leave baseline as is for right now. Right. So we're going to have two separate things.
Yeah, so check
deal
out
with it
master.
Later. Yeah. Get checkout -b find SecBugs. Good grief.
Right.
Okay. Good. We're on the branch.
Right.
We can go home now. We're on the branch.
That's right. We have what we need. We're ready with the branch.
Right. All right. So if we go back over to what was done here, that's in properties. Okay. So let's
and that one we don't need initially.
We don't need it initially. Okay.
No, and we don't need it. We may never need it because.
Oh, they say exclude.
Right. That's the exclude file, and the SpotBugs exclude file has a default location defined by the parent POM. So all we need to do is we can rely on that default. We won't have to do this. What Jeff's blog post and this pull request was from well before we had the concept of a default excludes file. But this section that you're copying now, that's the one we need, right?
All right, so let me, I lost my drag. And I'll add in my own little plugin at the top. Okay, so let's go back over here. Where is my plugins?
Yeah, and so what you have to look for is a build section. And it doesn't have one, so we're going to add a build section.
This is where Spotless comes into.
Right, but if you touch this Spotless, you've made a whole bunch of changes.
It's bad.
So
yeah,
just put it wherever. So right now, if you put it right, yeah, at the end is great. So we need a build section.
Section.
Right, and then in that build section, a plugins section.
Plugins.
And then in that is where you put what you prepped.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
And then now there's the version of this Find Sec Bugs plugin.
Oh, wait.
we need
I messed
to go.
up. Hang on a second.
Oh, yeah,
Something
go ahead.
isn't right. Oh, we went too far. It's like, I know that's right. Okay, there it goes.
All right.
So the question here is, I see that there's a version. You said version, right? Is that the right version we should use?
Well, no, and because of course Jeff's blog post was from 2020.
4 years old.
Right. There's certainly been newer things. So how do we find it? Well, I do a Google search, Maven release of Find Sec Bugs plugin. And I think you'll see the same thing I do. When you do that, one of the Maven data sites will tell you, yeah, so click the top one, first hit.
Sorry.
And
Puppy's awake.
notice there, the very top one is 1.13.0.
Okay.
Released in February of this year. Hey, so that's reasonably modern.
Yep. Compared to, I think it was 110.0.
Right.
Or 110.1. So we want to go to 113.0.
Right. So let's take that.
And why do we know that that's good? I mean, we're
We
taking
don't.
things off the internet,
We
right?
don't.
So it's,
Absolutely. All we're trusting is that the Find Sec Bugs maintainers did a good job, and it's probably better to use their current one than an older one.
okay. We're looking at you, Find Sec maintainers.
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Is that it?
That's it. So now we just do a Maven clean,
Ooh.
and this time we can skip tests because yeah, exactly. And then it's tests and then verify. And so this will now run, if we got the syntax right, should run spot bugs and should extend spot bugs by also running Find Sec Bugs. And it may whine at us terribly and say we've got all these problems, or it may be silent.
Pulling back the curtain. I haven't run this. Have you run this on this one?
No,
Do you
not
know
on
what's
this.
going to happen? Okay.
I
So
have
nobody knows
no
what's going to
hint.
happen. Well, it's done.
Right. Okay,
no
that's
errors.
pretty good. All right, so scroll up and let's see if it reported any noise that we missed for the scrolling. No. So it looks
In
like
fact,
it
let me
found-
just run it. Let me run it again
Okay. go for
because
it.
that's now there should be no noise. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
what was that?
And now we can use the technique from Jeff's blog post to confirm for ourselves that the thing is actually performing analysis.
Okay.
So go back to Jeff's blog post or to that platform label or pull request.
Right.
Because in there he inserted something that likely will trigger a warning.
Like this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so if we go into one of the Java source files and insert that. Yeah, and pick any one. It should be fine because if I remember right, that statement he included doesn't require any imports or any other surprises.
Okay. So anywhere.
Truly anywhere.
That just doesn't seem right.
I know, but that's why he did
Yeah.
it that way.
Okay, I'll just do it here because I can.
Right?
Oh, there was no request. So actually, I need to get.
Oh, okay. So
Not anywhere.
Okay, so now we may have more challenge.
Okay, well, that's fine. We just because there had to have been a UI somewhere in config slicing.
I don't. Yeah, there certainly is
Let's see.
in the configuration page.
Let's see. There's a staple request.
Okay, yeah, try
Good.
there.
We'll do that. Looks okay. Ugly.
All
I don't
right.
care because we're going to delete it anyway.
Right. So now try the clean verify again, and let's see if we get a warning.
Okay. Now, why do I want to do this? I mean, you explained it from the post, but the post is a lot of words.
Yes. Well,
Right.
so the idea is that package claim slicer does not exist. Oh, that's fun. So let's go back and look at what you inserted.
Hang on. Pull that down. There we go. That's odd here. We did that. Do you want to move? Don't save. I wonder if it had garbage. Let me just run it again.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to see.
Right.
Because I'm doing things.
Well, admittedly, we're doing things that we haven't test driven. Oh, yeah. Okay. Look, there was a new line inserted there, and
Yeah.
maybe some surprise as well.
No.
No. Okay.
Line 3. Configure Maven. Okay, that's weird. Well, here. Let's take that out for
Okay.
a moment. Let's go back here. Let's run it again. So we'll see if it gets back to it.
Right.
Because that's... Okay, so I
So
messed something
do
up
a Git
somewhere else.
status. Let's let Git help us on
Well,
this
here,
one, Darren.
let's
So
see.
Git status and
Yeah.
no.
Nothing there.
Okay.
So why did it pass the first time and
I
not...
don't know. So
So this may be real?
I don't know. Java minus version. What? Let's first see. Do we
Okay.
have? Are we running the correct Java version, etc.?
I believe I've got 21 right now.
Yeah. So you're fine. Good.
Okay.
That's should not be a problem. Okay. So
So let's see
read
what's
the-
going on. That's just a build failure. We know it built before. Package
Does
blah blah
not
blah.
exist. Oh, let's see a Git diff. Maybe there's something in the POM file that I'm just not paying attention to. Okay, so scroll nice and slowly for my benefit.
I
I
wonder.
don't see anything
if-
surprising there.
I wonder if. I'm curious. How did it work the first time?
Well, let's again play a Git trick. Git
Okay.
space stash space save. We're going to hide the work and not stash save. Yeah. So okay. So now if you do a Git status, it should show us that we're unchanged.
Yeah.
Now do the Maven the clean verify, etc. This may mean that we have to go back and do some offline exploring to figure out what changes are needed in the blog post. Okay,
Yeah.
so we passed without
Right.
adding find sec bugs.
Right.
Now, if you do a git stash pop, we get back what you saved stash.
I knew that. Okay.
Okay, so now let's look again at that POM file. So it's got inside of it.
Are we sure? Okay, here. Before we do that, let's go back to, I want to check time to 3:38, or 3:38 my time.
Mhm.
Okay. And this one they had, so this is platform labeler. Okay, good.
Right.
So this one was stuffed in at the bottom of the project. So project
Right.
build plugins plugin, which should be
So it
fine.
followed the same pattern we were following.
Yeah. Project build plugin. Okay, that's no big deal.
Okay, so we've got, well, maybe what we're doing is maybe find sec bugs needs to be invoked a different way now. It's a possible that the blog post is just wrong.
Okay, just for grins. Let's go back to this.
Oh, right. Good idea. All right, let's try an older version. I don't know even if that version runs with Java 21. This will be fun to see.
I can go back to 17 if I need to. That works.
Oh,
So something has
interesting.
changed in the API.
Oh, well, maybe. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Is find sec bugs requiring a newer something? No, it didn't tell us anything about needing a newer Java version, anything like that. Okay, 1.13
Nothing.
added Java 21 support, and upgraded to a recent version of Spotbugs that were already. So I'm sorry, I was just reading the
Yeah.
I was reading their page. All right, so let's do some more exploring, Darren. Let's try other newer releases.
So let's go back one. So 12, I guess, was the one previous.
Yeah.
Because that would have been the, whoops, that would have been, yeah, 12.0 was the next earliest. So let's try that. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. So it sees that one. And it sees that one. Okay, good. 0. All right. Let's see how this works. Very
I
interesting.
wonder, maybe 1.13 requires Java 17, and this plugin's not ready for Java 17 yet. I don't know why they would not have reported that to us, but this looks good. Now let's try adding that sort of flag line into that file.
Well, okay, here, just
is
for
it already
grins.
there?
No, it's not. I'm going to go ahead and go back to 13 for just a second.
Okay.
Because I wanted to verify now for sure that it's 13, and because then we can wave off.
Right? Tell people, hey, until you've switched, if my hunch is right, this may tell us, hey, it's Java 17 and newer. No, that worked. Okay, so
Now we need to put that line back in.
right, now let's try that.
Yes. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to go back to here. Copy that line.
Right, and find one of the things that has a stapler request.
Okay. Good enough. Now let's see what happens. Because we're doing clean first, so that should have wiped. Okay.
There, okay, you did it.
Yeah, I broke it.
Okay, so what did we do differently though? Because what you just did was not any different than what we'd done earlier. Because it's you've inserted a find sec bugs error or warning,
Right.
and it says, hey, this is a problem.
Right. I didn't do anything any different that I can remember.
Yeah, I don't see anything particularly magical. That
Maven
looks
Clean wasn't Maven Cleaning, maybe?
good. Maybe, yeah, or who knows, right?
Okay. Anyway, so if we had to keep this code, which we don't,
Right.
but if we had to keep this code, what would we do?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Then that's a good question. So then if this code were absolutely required, then we would need to create an exclusion in source Spotbugs, and there's an excludes file there. So
Right.
look in is there already a source Spotbugs in the directory tree?
There is, yes.
Okay, good. And so it's already, and many plugins will already have this. If
Right.
they don't, if you need to create it brand new, that is the exact file name to use, excludes
Right.
filter.xml.
This is the default.
That is the
One-
default. And notice it wasn't specified anywhere in the POM file because the
Right.
parent POM gave it to us. So
Right.
all we do is in here, we add a new pattern that says we want to exclude this. So let's do that and be
Okay.
sure that we can silence the thing.
Okay. So I want to grab this.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And just to make it simple, I am going to put it, so it's a big or and then a bunch of ands.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to put it here at the top,
Okay.
just so I don't forget where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say bug pattern equals. Now I've got to do I need it or do I just leave it as is?
Well, so you do the rest of us a great favor if you always include a class name here.
A what? Oh, class
So,
name.
yeah, don't. So if you stop there, that
Yeah.
says ignore this pattern for all
Everything.
everywhere, and that's
That's bad.
sort of impolite, right? It
Right.
says, hey, don't. I'm ignoring the whole world of this thing, and that's usually more than you want. So here it's just in this one. So configuration slicing dot.
Boolean slice.
Good. Okay.
And so that's interesting to me is the bracket on there, but that's not what we're looking at. Okay. So
Yeah,
I'll just do that.
Okay, so pause just a minute. And we didn't add that
No, that was already here. Maybe it's
as
Just
far as-
garbage?
okay, which probably means this thing is not applying because that is not a valid class name as far as I know.
right. Okay. So let's just go ahead and do the verify again.
Okay.
And in theory, Magic Hand Wave, or maybe
It
not
should
Magic
now
Hand
be
Wave,
silent,
it should be
right?
silent. So we
Right,
should not
because
get
what we did is we suppress the warning.
right. And that's
And
gone.
Success, right? Okay, so
That would be really nice if it would tell you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It would be nice if they told you here, saying zeros here, but it would be nice if it told you, what's the word I'm looking for? That we're ignoring. Like,
Yeah, you suppressed this many. Are you sure you meant it? Because you really have suppressed this many that were detected but suppressed,
yeah, it's like we suppressed 2,000. Is that okay?
right?
That would not be okay. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to look at my exclude here. I'm going to go ahead and revert that or discard it. I'm going to go
Right.
ahead and get rid of that because we don't need
Right.
that. And then take a look at the POM XML, and it's just the big thing at the bottom. And we took 13. But before I try to do anything, I'm going to do that one more time.
right?
Just because.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So I feel, actually, wait, we skipped test. Now I don't want to do skip test.
Well, no, because spot bugs is different in that there's not any real value to running tests
right.
with spot bugs, right? So in this case, this is a very safe time for us to choose to skip tests because it doesn't add any value to run the tests before running the spot bugs analysis. Spot bugs will do the analysis of all the built code, and since tests and production code are both built, it's just skipping the execution. We don't gain any benefit here by running the tests. Now, if you're uncomfortable, or if that makes you nervous,
it just feels strange. So what you're saying is we could have done a clean verify to begin with,
right?
and then do a clean skip test verify
Could have, sure, yep.
because we would already have run the test on that first pass. I'm just trying to make sure that we've run the tests at all.
And my
I'm thinking about the checklist.
right, but my claim is in the case of spot bugs, it's not going to tell you anything new by running the tests. So yes, it's good for contributors to run the test before they submit any pull request. So in that sense, yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
In this specific case, really, the tests aren't going to tell us anything we don't already know.
Okay. Then I'm fine with that. It just feels weird. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is queue that up.
Right.
Triple check that. Oops. Get rid of that. So it's just the thing at the bottom. And our commit message is going to be add find sec bugs. What else do we want to say about that?
I think that's
Is that good enough?
So well, let's see. No suppressions needed. Right, and then maybe now this is an answer to the testing done thing, and I
Right.
tend to put them in my commit message, a new paragraph saying something like, added a added a warning, confirmed we saw the warning, confirmed we could suppress the warning, removed the warning, removed the suppression. So we really did perform a reasonable set of tests of this. Yeah, we suppressed the warning, and then we removed all of those, and then undid all the changes. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And for me, this is my way of answering in advance the testing done question on the
Right.
on the pull request template.
Okay, so I am on our branch. I'm going to commit that. We'll go ahead and push that up to origin. Create a pull request. Okay. Now we do this. That to that. That looks pretty good. We've already done that. I can pull this down
Right.
to here. I can mark
Delete
that.
that. Yep.
Comment is good enough. Getting there. Okay. So we did that. Title seems okay. You were happy with it.
Yes.
Described it. Nothing there. Nothing there. And that. That looks good. Let's go and create that. Why would I want to do this? I mean, sure. I mean, it's just find sec bugs, but so what?
Well, okay, so the benefit for me, at least, of static analysis is that it can do things that, as a human being, I'm not really great at doing, right? It finds problems that I might not have found otherwise and lets me think about other things. Somebody, a new maintainer or a contributor, submits code that has some known security problem in it, and I'm not aware of it, but find sec bugs is pretty cheap to have find sec bugs find it. And it's much more expensive if it gets out as a release and we have to release a security fix for it. Much better to find it early in the CI process than later.
Okay.
So that's, but admittedly, there is a compromise that we're striking here, right? We're taking a compromise between, we're spending more time on every CI build to run these additional checks. And so that's not free, but it's worth it in terms of offsetting the risk of having something that this thing could have detected get past us.
Okay. It looks like the previous
Has been
452
merged.
has already been merged, already done.
Right.
Great.
Oh, and you got to open it up. You got to open it up because special thanks to Bruno. Bruno even reviewed it and approved the change while we were here.
Good.
Thanks, Bruno.
Thanks, Bruno. Okay. And then we have this one. And now it's just churning away, right? Or
Right.
wait.
It's churning. And
Actually,
so
do you need to label it or no?
I will label it. So I'm going to label this one again. I think of this one as a chore. It's improving maintenance.
Sure.
And I'm going to go ahead and review it. And yes, you and me both. I ache for Spotless, and maybe we'll do Spotless in a future session because this
Yeah.
plugin would, I think, really benefit from Spotless.
Get ready for big PRs at that point. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's well, and when we do the Spotless thing, there's some other cool stuff going on there. So I like that. Oh, and the branch is out of date because the change arrived while you and I were working
Correct.
on that update.
So because I'm just a anonymous person, I don't see all the stuff you would typically see. I'm wondering.
So go
Wait,
back.
did you just punch the button to
I did.
bring
I
it in?
just punched the update master button because
Okay.
and now I'm going to enable auto merge because I think once it passes, we're ready for it to merge.
No reason for it to not merge, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So that's probably, we were thinking we'll be done with this in like 10 minutes. And
Right,
here we
well,
are an hour later. and-
Okay, if we'd done all the right things and made it all perfectly canned, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun. Thank you, Darren.
No, sure. I'm still scratching my head why we were having that problem.
Yeah, I
Bring
don't
it
and I don't
in.
have an answer either. So we may have to go back and view the video and see what actually went on there, because there must have been something that caused that compilation failure.
So two things today that are part of the thing that we'll have to get docs set up on again is baseline, Jenkins
Right.
baseline,
Correct.
and then enabling FindSec bugs.
Right.
Is there any reason to not do those two things? As a
Je-
plugin maintainer, is there any reason to not do it?
I don't have any reason to not do Jenkins.baseline. None. For me, that's just, oh, no, I take it back. Yes, I do.
Okay.
If you're not using the plugin BOM, and I have one plugin I maintain that does not use the plugin BOM. If you don't use the plugin BOM, then there's not a lot of benefit to using Jenkins.baseline, because you're not reducing any duplication. But the vast majority of plugins use the plugin BOM or should use it, and therefore they would benefit from it. Now, FindSec bugs, okay, there it's maybe a different question. Do I really want to know about potential security bugs? And sometimes people say, no, I don't want to know, thanks. If you want to know, FindSec bugs is a good choice.
Good. And it's quote unquote free.
Yes,
It's
it is.
because it's already there from a spot bugs perspective. It's just a
It
matter
is.
of we just needed to enable the FindSec bugs. Okay.
Correct.
Good. All right. So I think that's it for today. Bruno, thanks for working with Fragger in the chat there. That helped out a lot. Because, again, we were supposed to be done in 10 minutes, and here we are an hour later. So we'll be back on Wednesday, same time. We're still going to be doing some more modernization. I believe this one is the reason why we picked this plugin, configuration slicing, specifically, say that 3 times fast, is we're going to be upgrading from JUnit 3 to JUnit 4. And there is no pretty way to do that.
Right.
So we are going to be slogging through that
Yep.
in, what's the word I want to look for, rephrasing, to set us up for something that is easier in the future.
Right.
So we want to get off of 3 and everything that has to do with 3. Again, 3 is fine, but 5 has been around for a while. 4 has been around for a really long while.
4 is immensely popular in the Jenkins development world, and 5 is growing in popularity. Yep.
And we know better on that one. That's all we're doing on
Right.
Wednesday, because
We'll-
there's going to be
We
every which way to
expect-
attack it.
We expect bumps and bruises when you make that transition. I watched as a Git plugin contributor made the transition from 3 to 4, and there are things that are just work that take effort to make that change.
Yep. So we'll see you again on Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you're watching the replay, thanks again. And if you're watching it through the documentation, thanks for making it this far. Because if you've gone through all videos 1 through 5 from 2021, and now you're starting up in 2024, there's still more things to do. So
are.
thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you again on Wednesday.